Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Enjoying your day, making it positive, making it need to be everything it needs to be, and more. Okay? We got a very special show for you guys. Finally. I'm very excited. I'm very happy that we're finally going to get, hopefully, our ship of questions down the river of answers. Yes, I drop bars all day long. Okay. Anyway, but we do have somebody very special coming onto the show with us today. We got a lot to talk about in a very short, condensed amount of time, but we do have Miss Simone Redwine, attorney Simone Redwine, coming onto the show with us, spending some time breaking things down, letting us know what we should expect maybe in the near future, why all these things went down. And of course, we got to talk about her viral video. We got to talk about her viral moment on another podcast that has been getting, it's been making its rounds recently and getting her a lot of attention as of late. So we got a lot to talk about here. So do me a favor before we get everything started. Okay. Hope you guys are all well out there. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to every single last one of y'all. Hope your day is well. Hope you're starting your day off, or if you're watching this in a replay, hope your day ended very well. Hope you kicked it in the butt. Do me a favor, spread the love. Spread the positive vibes, okay, by simply hitting that like button down below. That'd be greatly appreciated, all right? And of course, if you're watching on Facebook, don't forget to hit that reaction button. I see you guys reacting. I appreciate it. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, please be sure to hit that follow button down below as well. That would be greatly appreciated, okay? So we got some things we got to get into. Hopefully she'll be here soon. And when she does, we're going to be cracking into this conversation, a much needed conversation. And I'm telling you right now, I'm very, very excited about it. Why? Because I got so many questions, man. Don't you? I got so many questions. As we already know, Diddy is going through some serious legal issues right now. There have been multiple victims that have stepped forward, who have spoken out, said what they have had to say in their civil lawsuits that he's looking at right now. And it's some serious ish, y'all. Okay. It is serious. All right. And let's be real. A lot of us are going, wait a second. Why civil? Why not criminal? And the other part is he going to see anything criminal? Is he going to see the inside of a prison cell or not? We got so many things we got to cover. Very little bit of time to talk about it, but we got somebody very, very special coming on. And also, guys, if you have any questions, please bless the show with a super chat. Put the question into that super chat. I will make sure that is read out loud for our guest that's coming onto the show right now. Please welcome attorney Simone Redwine to the show.
Hey,
hello,
guys.
How you doing? Good
morning. Thank you for having me. I'm
of course
not working today. I took this morning off, so that's why I am in my gym clothes. So
right on. Okay, that's a gym outfit. Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Looks great. It looks great.
Thank you.
You know, I didn't know you could still go out in the.
I know. I'll throw on a blazer.
You can go out in.
Yeah, I'll throw on a blazer if it's like Zoom court time.
That's what's up. So real quick, before we go into your video that made you go, that got a lot of looks in your direction, can you tell
70
everybody?
70 million? Yeah, the last count was like 70 million views.
Have mercy. That's insane. But can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and all that before we go into this, before we go into the video that made you go viral?
Sure. So I'm Simone Redwine. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. Now I'm based here in Houston, Texas, and I graduated from University of Pittsburgh with a degree in finance, summa cum laude. I got a full ride to Pitt when I was 16 years old. Hail to Pitt! And then from Pitt, I got a scholarship to Cornell Law School, which is almost a full ride. So I studied law in New York at Cornell University School of Law. And then I practiced big law in New York City, where I was actually a fashion and intellectual property attorney. So I did actually the case of whether or not you could trademark the color red. That was my case. I was a baby lawyer on that one. I represented Christian Louboutin, and we sued Yves Saint Laurent, who was making a shoe that also had a red bottom. I did that for some years, and then I came back to Texas because my daddy told me that I was running around with too many knucklehead boys and that I needed to come home and get it together. So I moved back home to Texas, where I opened a practice with my aunt, whose last name is also Redwine. And so I've had my own practice now for over a decade. And now I focus on wrongful death, all types of different injury cases. These cases against Diddy would be considered like civil injuries. One of the most famous cases that I worked on was I was one of the attorneys that sued R. Kelly in the case that was filed in New York City. There, the plaintiff was a teenager in Texas who, in the petition that I drafted, we alleged that he did give her herpes, and that was part of the basis of her claims. So
Wow.
I've run the gamut
No
talking
kidding.
about these things. I'm super passionate about. I'm also like fun and silly. So I like to deliver legal education with like a fun twist. I used to do some stand-up comedy, very amateur. And I'm also a professor. I'm a law professor at Thurgood Marshall School of Law here in Houston.
Damn. Okay. So you got a lot. You got a lot. That's that's a beautiful thing. That's a lot of credentials and quite a life you've led, that you've lived so far. I'm sure it's only going to get even more interesting and more crazy here in the near future. But let's look at this video, okay?
All right, let's take a look.
Long story short, guys, I do want to say this too. Simone knows her ish. Let's just say that. And if you don't know that by now, you're gonna find out right now. Let's take a listen.
Forgive me for my makeup. Continue.
You're good.
Really brilliant. They didn't sue just Diddy. They sued his corporations.
They sure did.
And they sued his corporations and sued in her capacity as an employee. When you do that, it triggers commercial liability insurance.
Yeah.
And it triggers another policy called directors and officers. Okay. And we know he's a director of these companies as the CEO. So now you got two policies. What happens then is it takes away Puffy's ability to settle. It's not his choice no more.
So it's no longer personal accountability. It's his organization.
It's his organization. And it's no different than like if you hit somebody with your car.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you have State Farm. State Farm gets to decide to settle, not you. You could say, I didn't run the stop sign. That's not true. They're lying. If State Farm says, we don't care, we did our investigation, we're settling. That's it. That's what happened here. So because they added those claims, the corporate insurance carrier got to say, read over it and say, oh, hell no, we giving her the money.
We're hearing you. Diddy's public reputation is done.
It's done.
Yeah.
And if he wants to be able to leave anything to his children, he needs to walk away from all of these corporations.
Damn, he can no longer be the head of his corporations.
Well, remember, didn't I say directors and officers liability?
Yeah.
More than likely, what will happen is those insurance companies, they have the ability to say, we won't renew your policy if he continues to be a director or officer.
Okay. There's a lot to dissect in this, okay, guys?
Yeah.
I showed this last night, and I was like, "Ooh, I got questions! So many questions for Simone." So, I'm as you said earlier, I'm an armchair legal, I guess, so armchair lawyer. I know nothing about law, but I just like to tell stories and have really great conversations with people. But still, when you said in the very beginning of this, there was a big red flag for me that popped up because you used the analogy, which was a great analogy of the State Farm and the car accident and all that, right? Mm-hmm. Now, remember, Cassie filed this lawsuit for $30 million, a 35-page scathing lawsuit, documents that came out, all that stuff. Within less than 24 hours, he settled. Now, I have questions, okay? One of the main questions I have is, okay, if there was a car accident, State Farm, I'm just using the State Farm example, and that person's not in the wrong, or they believe they're not in the wrong and they want to fight it out, why would State Farm, for example, say, no, we're just settling this, we're moving on? You see what I'm saying? Because wouldn't that person want to fight to show that that they're not the guilty party? Does that make sense? That they're not the one that did the accident, that they're not at fault? So when I look at the companies that say, hey, we're going to settle, less than 24 hours later, it's almost as if the companies are basically saying, oh no, Diddy, you guilty, when he's like, no, I want to fight this out. Do you see what I'm getting to?
So I'm very
ADD.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super ADD. I didn't take my medicine yet this morning. Forgive me. So I'm gonna answer it in two parts. And if I don't get to second part, please remind me. So part one is the 24-hour narrative. I want to clarify that. It was 24 hours within settlement, but trust and believe, baby, it was not 24 hours since notification of the claim. And here's why. So what happens when you're having claims like these that are based in insurance? We'll use the car accident example. You get an initial adjuster who has a lower level of authority. Then the moment lawsuit is filed, it gets elevated to a high level adjuster who has complete and total authority to give you the full policy. What happens is the moment Cassie's lawyers started talking to Diddy's lawyers, Bad Boy's lawyers, all of those, because they didn't just call Diddy, right? They didn't call Diddy on the phone. They called the legal team at Bad Boy and all the corporate entities. The moment that happened, they notified their insurance carrier. And conversations began way back then. And we know that they've been talking for a while because Diddy's own lawyer came out and said, oh, Cassie had been talking to us for months, trying to get 30 million out of it. That's where the 30 million came from. It was actually his lawyer making that statement, not hers. And so basically his own lawyer admitted that they'd been talking for a while. So does that make a little more sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Months and months and months. And so, but what happens is that lower level adjuster is really there kind of calling your bluff. They're like, all right, well, no, we're not going to pay you this amount. Number one, because they don't have the authority. And number two, they're like, if I'm going to pay out that much, you need to file suit so that we know that you're serious, right? So then secondly, that's how come it seemed to us like 24 hours, but there's no way that it was 24 hours. Now they can wire the money and 24 hours. Absolutely. Because again, they've already been discussing this. And in fact, from the beginning, those carriers started looking into the facts. Also, you have to remember in the background, they don't just give the petition. What happens is we give to his attorneys what's called a demand letter. So yes, the petition is bare bones, but we give facts. So that means Cassie's lawyer probably gave Diddy's lawyer photos of her bruises that she still has, affidavits from different people.
Right.
They're all sworn under penalty of perjury. They have some of the crux of what would be revealed in discovery. And it is those things that they looked at, not this little petition that we reviewed. But it's going to be way more than that, where that insurance company said, oh, get on out of here.
So you're saying hard, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you're saying, sure you get it. So you're saying hard proof. Hard proof to make them make the companies go, no, we settling, man. We gonna settle. Okay. You sit down, take several seats in that corner, we gonna settle.
Similar to like when I draft a mediation statement, when I'm doing a demand letter in a case like this, I got exhibits. I have hardcore proof. I've got affidavits, because I'm not even going to go into that discussion unless I am sure that I have neutral third parties that have no loyalty to me. And if anything, maybe have loyalty to Diddy, but are here to stand up and say, yep, this happened. So as an example, that demand letter may have attached an affidavit from one of the bodyguards who witnessed all this and, felt bad about it and was like, no, I'll swear to this, because at the end of the day, when you swear under penalty of perjury, you risk going to jail if you're lying. So they really lined up hard proof that we haven't seen.
Oh, wow. Very interesting. So there's a lot of things that have not been put out in the public that would move companies to say, no, we're going to settle right now because we have she has enough smoking gun evidence, enough red flags to point him as a guilty party. Correct?
Correct. Yes.
Wow. Okay. I'm so happy you're here. Let me just say that really quick. Okay. Simone Redwine, thank you so much. Class Simone. That's what I'm going to call it right now. Class of Simone. Okay. Class of Simone Redwine. Class of Redwine. Okay. Class of red wine. That's what I'm going to call it. Okay. Now the thing is, there's another piece. Does insurance cover criminal acts?
I definitely want to get to that. Before I get to that, I want to answer your part 2 involved. Why don't the insurance companies let them fight? All right. Let me give you the example. So what happens is insurance companies don't care about you. They care about their bottom line. And you got to remember, you ain't a lawyer. So while you're saying, I didn't do it. First of all, you don't know the law like they know the law. Also, people lie all the time, right? So in the car accident example, I have been in a situation where I was told I ran a light and therefore they were covering the claim. The reason they do that is because when they calculate the cost, they have to calculate the cost of defense, of defending a lawsuit for 2-3 years, especially a big lawsuit with Diddy. So number one, when you buy insurance and when the insurance takes over the claim, they take over complete authority to settle and to defend, which means they actually don't even have to get your permission to settle. In my car accident situation where they decided it was my fault and it wasn't, they settled and they just sent me a letter after the fact that said, hey, we're just giving you notice that we settled this claim for X amount of dollars. There was nothing I could do. You cannot contest it. You can't do, because what would you do? You'd be like, no, I'm going to pay my own money and get a lawyer. Because it's their money and they're the lawyers, they get control. And number two, the reason why the control leaves out of your hands is because the law says this. And mind you, I'm licensed in New York where these claims, I went to Cornell Law. New York is where I got my license first. I'm barred in New York, New Jersey, and Texas. I'm just active in Texas. But under New York law, under basically all states' law, if the party comes to you, so if Cassie comes to you and says, this is what he did, give me the policy maximum, okay? And if you take the time, you do a reasonable inquiry, which we're going to assume here, it was enough reasonable time because they had months of going back and forth, right? After a reasonable inquiry, let's say it is a $1 million policy, just to even it. It's a $1 million policy. And if she says, give me your full policy, if you don't give her that policy at the beginning, after she sent you a demand with the hard facts, if you say no and you force her to go to trial and a jury gives her 200 million, instead of being capped at the 1, which was the policy premiums, the policy max, you got to pay all 200 and some million. So as a result, insurance companies rather settle at the beginning for policy cap, because the policy cap is generally lower than whatever a jury would give under these facts. Because if you think about it, if Cassie went all the way to trial in a Manhattan jury, and assuming if a jury were to find her accusations true and to find Diddy liable, oh baby, they would give him way more than 30 million. Don't you think?
I mean, that's kind of what I was about to ask you too, because there's rumors about it being like 9 figures out here. Okay. Do you think that it was anywhere near the 30, or do you think it was more or less?
I don't know, but I am confident that it was policy maximum coverage, whatever the policies were. And if there were multiple policies that came into play, it's going to be the max for each of those. So I don't know what that number is, but I can guarantee you I would rather have that number now than a different number years down the line where you're going to have to appeal.
Right.
So what it is, so in summary, the reason insurance companies settle fast and quick towards the beginning for the policy max when they're requested is because they don't want to have to go in front of a jury award way more than that, sometimes 10 times that, and that insurance company be responsible for paying that.
Wow.
Especially because for the last year, right? You've been paying on a policy that's only a $1 million policy, right? So those are low
Right.
premiums. So if they ultimately have to pay out 200 million and you've only been paying on $1 million policy, they're going to be screwed. They're going to be screwed.
That's
I hope that helps
wild.
explain.
That's wild. So still, no matter what, within the turnaround, regardless of it being weeks of them knowing about this, the companies and Diddy
Months,
knowing about this for weeks or months,
months. Yeah. They said
um,
months. Yeah.
no matter what, them still settling like this instead of fighting it out is still to the public. It's still justified that the court of public opinion is looking at this and going, "Oh yeah, Diddy, him guilty."
Yeah.
Correct.
Diddy him guilty. Because apparently the insurance company felt that way. Diddy might disagree, but whoever finalized and paid that claim said, we can't afford to deal with your ego, Diddy, and go into trial. And whatever it is, we're going to go ahead and get up out of here.
Have mercy.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as you said in the viral video, as the one of the co-hosts was basically saying, okay, so you're saying that Diddy he's done. It's a wrap, right? And you agree still to this day, even even on this viral video, which of course has been seen millions and millions of times. Which
And
is
mind you,
pretty
when I
crazy.
did that video, that was before he stepped down from anywhere. I
That's
did
true.
that days prior, and I specifically said in the longer podcast, if you check it out, you can go to my channel, which is Girl, Is That Legal? And I'll be posting the segment of that podcast where I just do the legal talk. If you watch it, I said, we'll know whether his insurance policies were triggered if he has to start stepping down from his corporations. And boom.
Yeah.
Because nobody can make this man is above the law. He is, he always has to be in control. No man can make this man do anything. But all he cares, I won't say all he cares about, what he is governed by is money and power. So the only person who could make him step down from anything would be an authoritarian figure at his corporations that said, if you don't do this, your pockets will be impacted.
Wow. Even so, you even said at the end of this clip here too, it's like he has to step down if he wants his kids to have, if he still wants to have generational wealth, he has to step down, or he's going to be his own personal pockets are going to be deeply affected, and there's a possibility of him never coming back wearing that CEO hat. Can you can you elaborate and expand on that piece a little bit for us?
So, a lot of corporations have morality clauses where even if there wasn't any insurance in play, at the point when your brand is associated with immoral acts that would tarnish the reputation of whatever board you're on, they have the ability to ask you to go ahead and step down. Go ahead, honey, log out. Go ahead, get your purse, log out, get on out of here, so to speak. And so that is one of the things that has likely come into play, any form of a morality clause. And then also it brings repute. So if it's a charity, ain't nobody trying to give them money right now with a man who's now alleged to have assaulted an 11th grader, So between that and then there's also directors and officers liability coverage. And I know that there are some, I haven't seen any attorneys say it, but there's some non-attorneys who are like, D&O won't deal with this at all. That's another story. But when you are embroiled in something like this, insurance carriers will look at that corporation and say, we're not going to renew you. That's just a simple fact. Why would they? If they don't renew us for getting in too many auto accidents, do you really think they're going to renew someone who's this behavior? So when that happens, they go to Diddy and say, hey, as long as you're associated with the company, we can't get coverage. We can't operate without coverage. So we're going to need you to go ahead and log out. And it's for that reason that he'll log out, because he'll still be able to keep, as of now, he can still keep his shares. It's just he can't be the face of things. And I am sure for him, that is torture. He is a brand. He is the person who can take that, do all of this.
Right.
And so Cassie's strategy after these years of mental and physical abuse to simply seek justice in the way in which she has done it has done a mental mind, F
Right.
to this man. Woo!
It's
I'd love to be a fly on the wall in his house. Hell, in his therapy session. I hope no, he's probably too above a therapist. He wouldn't go to a therapist. He'd probably go to a therapist and try to tell a therapist what therapy the therapist needs to be given.
yeah.
Because he know everything.
I'm thinking he's waiting for his big Gail King interview so he can lash out like Aura. You know what I mean? Y'all are killing me. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for
That'll
that.
be when he's at his mental tip, when he's just lost his ever-loving mind. But I could also see him do that because, recently he came out and he made the statement, enough is enough. I'm fighting for my name. Honey, it doesn't change the fact you're in the same boat. I don't know if insurance will be triggered with this one because this teenager, this 11th grader, was not an employee. I could tell that they were attempting to trigger it by including the venue, Daddy's house, the recording studio, perhaps
Mhm.
premises type of liability or for that venue. But again, if insurance comes in and takes over defense, it removes his individual ability to fight. Because I'll say this, that corporate insurance or that premises insurance or even employee insurance, it's not going to protect Diddy as an individual. So the extent to which he sued individually, that insurance company isn't going to get in there for that. He's still going to have to get an attorney to represent his individual interests. But what happens is when you're suing 4 people, you have a dollar amount in your mind of how much money you want in total. And as attorneys, we don't care where we get that. So if all the money comes in from one of the policies that's covered under insurance, we dismiss the case against everyone. Diddy can't stand there and be like, no, not me. Don't dismiss it against me. I want to fight for my honor. It doesn't work that way because the plaintiff has brought the action. The plaintiff has the ultimate right, whether they get $0 from you or all the dollars from someone else and nothing from you. They have the right to dismiss the action against you whenever they want. And you simply have to sit there in the court of public opinion and defend yourself. That's your
Man,
only recourse. Isn't
man,
that
that's
crazy?
it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's wild.
And now things are just getting more and more. Man, things are just getting messy. Things are getting crazy. Obviously, there's people who are, victims are stepping forward, especially the one you were just talking about just recently, about the one who just got flown out. And then she was, got to use these code words, unfortunately, guys, but
Yeah.
she was GR'd in his
Yep.
studio and all that. I mean, those kinds of claims are absolutely damning. I know, of course, some people sit there and say, hey, these things happened, 20 years ago, but still, those things still happened. And now you have,
Yeah.
or allegedly happened. But when you have someone like Cassie coming out with such a scathing document like that, with all those claims, and apparently that was just the tip of the iceberg. That wasn't the whole thing. Okay, guys, that says a lot, especially when you hear about the corporations. Now that we have Simone breaking it down for us and making it, clearer for us. Now we hear the companies are basically saying, no, no. There's too much damning evidence here. There's too much damning evidence against you, Diddy. We got to settle. Whether you like it or not, it's a wrap, son. Okay? You lost this fight. That says a lot. And I think that it will inspire other victims to step forward that were maybe scared, because this is allegedly a very volatile individual. One thing I do want to remind everybody, this man did blow up Kid Cudi's car because he was mad that Kid Cudi was trying to talk to Cassie. That is insane. If you're willing to take a car and make it go boom, boom, that says something about who you are as a person.
With
That's
no
not a person that
recourse, with no ramifications.
Zero.
Nothing happened to
Zero.
this man.
Zero.
So when people say, why didn't she go to the cops? Why? Look what happened when you blow somebody's car up. If nothing happens to that, I could see why a woman who has been in a public relationship with him, with everything to lose, because let's be honest, she had no career. Okay. She made one song, he snatched her up, and the next time we saw her all the time was in his armpit. Okay.
True.
So she was completely beholden on him for her financial, for her all of that. And then let's be real, as people of color, we all know when you are the first one in your family to make it, what then happens? You then help support your loved ones, whether it's your siblings, your parents, your this, your that. So we don't even know, like, a lot of times those guys that are controlling will then break off your parents, break off the people that otherwise would be there to support you, to be like, come on home, baby, come on home. So that mental level of abuse mixed with physical is extreme.
It's scary. It's
It's
extreme.
frightening.
It's scary. It's all this stuff. Like literally, he's more Suge Knight than Suge Knight. Let's keep it a buck, okay?
Oh, tell him.
But I got a couple super chats that I want to grab here
Yes,
really quick. Okay,
let's do
first
it.
off, I want to say a big thank you to Carbonized Stardust. Welcome to the family. And just like Carbonized, go hit that join button. Become a member of the Pascal Show family. That would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Of course, guys, if you are watching and tuning in for the very first time, please be sure to hit that like button, hit that reaction button, hit that subscribe button. Go over as well. Go over and we already got my mods putting in your link to your show. And
Awesome,
I don't,
thank you.
girl, is that legal? Do you have to say it just like that for it to show up on YouTube? Girl,
No,
is that
it's
legal?
you don't,
Or
girl,
can you
is
just type
that
in girl, is
legal?
that legal?
No, you can just
Okay.
type in "girl, is that legal?"
I'm
Yes,
just making, I'm just
with
playing. But
spaces.
make sure
Yeah, it
hit
came
that
from.
subscribe button.
I got one of those calls from one of my girls, like either late at night or early one morning. I said, "Why?" She finna say it. Girl, is that legal? Like asking me for advice and then doing that. So I said, you know what? That's what I'm gonna have to call my channel when I make one.
Girl, is that legal? Absolutely. So we got some super chats here really quick. So Eyes Wide Open, thank you so much for the
Yes.
5. What do you say to those who say no insurance policy payout for malicious or illegal behavior, or does it depend on the policy?
Awesome. I said eyes wide open. They are right. They are absolutely correct. And I actually want to use this time to give a shout out to, I am so proud. There are a number of bloggers out there who didn't go to law school, right? But they're giving their take, they're breaking this stuff down. And as a result, like, you're really elevating blogging. You really are, because it used to just be about tea and mess and, drama. But so I really appreciate those delving into this. And the answer is they are correct. Policies do not cover that stuff. But this is why the legal strategy was so clever. Let me give you an example of how it works. So how it works is when you make a petition, when you make a claim, as long as at least one of the claims can be covered by insurance, insurance must defend and cover all of the claims. I shouldn't say they don't have to cover all the claims, but they have to defend all of them. So the best example I could give you is if you're in a car accident, right? But then afterwards, the guy rams you in the car. Let's say you're in a car accident. You get out the car, y'all are talking, and he gets road rage. He then gets in his car and he hits you with his car. Okay. You're going to sue him for the auto accident. And then you're going to add in the claim for egregiousness and punitive damages, saying, oh, and by the way, he also hit me with his car. Now, under the logic where some people are like, oh, they don't cover criminal, that would be assuming that none of it would be covered because of the fact that the lawsuit says both he hit my car and he hit me. No, how it works is us lawyers, we add in the part that he hit the car, because ultimately, if we go to trial, we want to be able to get punitive damages. We also want to tell the most salacious story possible. So yes, that part where you got hit deliberately with the car, or here in Cassie's case where she claims the R word, you're right, an insurance policy wouldn't cover it. But what would happen is, because they have to cover the defense of the sexual harassment component, because she was an employee of the record label, and because a jury's going to hear all of that, they know that a jury is going to give as much as possible. And they don't want to have to deal with, this part's punitive, but this part is regular. No, in the end, the insurance company, because of the fact that they're going to have to defend and deal with it all, and a jury is going to hear all of the claims, they're going to go ahead and settle. And now there may be some policies where the other claims that are not covered, you may have to indemnify the insurance company for the part of that. But here, where it's settled and it didn't go to trial, what happens with that settlement is it's a universal settlement. The settlement won't say you're getting 10 million for the R claim, you're getting 5 million for the sexual harassment claim. No, it's one and it's covered. So does that kind of help clarify, I hope?
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely does. And eyes wide open. Does that answer your question? I
Yes.
appreciate it. I appreciate the super chat. Let's go into this one. Carbonized Stardust. Thank you so much for the 14 Canadians. So insurance saw the evidence, played judge, and made him pay. Is that not evidence of guilt? Lots of love to use. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. Yes. Carbonized statement, I believe so. Because for me, it's no different than so before you ever go to trial, judges always make you go to mediation. This is exactly what the mediator does. The mediator gets a statement from, gets the demand letter from our side, and which outlines all the really poignant facts that support my side. And then they're going to get a letter, or they'll get something from the defendant saying, no, 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 your honor, we don't think we should have to pay it for this reason. And then they look at both and they say, what they say, all right, this is what I think you guys should do. And then we go back and forth to settle with the adjuster, because the adjuster is on Diddy's side. The adjuster, if the adjuster says, oh, this is bad, oh baby, it's bad, it's real, real bad. Because the
Mhm.
adjuster isn't caring about the court of public opinion, because of the fact that that's what motions to exclude are for. If some evidence is not relevant or it's not admissible, that adjuster is literally able, like you said, to play judge. They're able to anticipate what would a court do and determine settlement based on what they anticipate a court would do, a judge would do after seeing all the evidence.
Okay, there it is, guys. Got another one. Darcy Miller, thank you so much for the 5. This is, I think, is a good question as well. Will Diddy have to pay back to companies that he has contracts with if they break away from him?
Will he have to pay them if they break away? Not
I think what they
generally. It
mean.
would really.
I,
Yes.
I
I
think
mean,
what they mean in the question, and maybe Darcy, I apologize if I'm rewording this wrong. But I think what they mean is, will Diddy have to pay back the companies that are paying out in
on
that
his behalf.
settlement? I'm assuming, or any settlements in the near future.
Under the employment law, employment law insurance, no. No, absolutely not.
Okay. Wow.
Directors and
Hmm.
officers, it really depends on the relationship between the two, but it's unlikely, because the whole point of directors and officers insurance is that it kicks in to pay for defense. So that's unlikely too. So again, because he likely does not have to pay them back, that's another reason why they're like, get the hell out of here. Get the
Right.
hell out of here. Because there's only more to come in the future. Now, what also sucks is generally the future allegations will be based on past behavior. So anybody that continues to keep him on, yes, it's a liability going on to the future. But for some entities, even if you kick him off today, there is still a chance that things that he's done in the past will come back and claims can be made. Um, because with this lawsuit, the most recent one that was filed,
Hmm.
um, on that one, which I read, of course, cover to cover, and I break that one down on my channel, Girl Is That Legal? You can check that out. Uh, it is very clear that Wigdor, the firm that represented Cassie, they have a comprehensive strategy. And it appears that their strategy is likely they started with Cassie, boom, boom, boom. Cassie's going to open the floodgates to make everyone feel safe coming forward. And then they waited till those gates appeared to be closed, right?
Right.
Because remember, the window for the Adult Survivors Act had already closed. And then, boom, they waited the next week and said, gotcha, gotcha. I would not be surprised if there aren't more gotcha type lawsuits that come forward where they basically file one, do their
Mm.
best to resolve that one, and then boom, hit you with another.
Right. I'm actually glad you mentioned that, because we got to talk about the state governor and the investigations that are going on in the state of New York. The New York
Mhm.
state governor is doing a series of investigations. Now, there's a lot of speculations that some of these investigations have to do with Diddy. Do you know anything further about that particular topic? Um,
No, I
is he?
don't know, but it would be crazy not to. See, you got to remember, we are in a what? Election year. We're in an election year. And so
Mm, Good point.
I don't remember if I believe the governor's up for election in New York at the same time as everyone else, but also you got state reps and all these different people trying to make names for themselves. So if they can be associated with taking down a celebrity bad guy, they will. They will.
Wow. Because I keep thinking that if there's some investigations going on, maybe that, I don't know. It's still, no matter what, not good.
No.
I don't know how else to explain it. You know what I mean?
And
It's not good.
I feel like as far as behaviors go, I do feel that, okay, the more recent cases, including the 11th grader case, that petition on page 1 was very clear that petitioner read Cassie's or heard about Cassie's case and was like, oh my gosh, that happened to me. And then she heard about the Jane Doe who filed and said, oh my gosh, that happened to me too. Okay, he, transported me from one place to another, what have you. I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. And then picked up the phone and called those lawyers. And that's how that case came about. So I say that to say, number one, that's also why the law was structured so that Cassie did not have to file or sign a confidentiality agreement if she didn't want to. If she wants to, that's her choice. But she was not forced to do so. And then two, that's also why I believe some of these investigations will be coming out, because there's going to be more allegations. But what I anticipate is that if they're able to get him on anything criminal, stay with me, guys, I don't think it's going to be for assaulting women. I think it's going to be some type of white collar crime, wire fraud.
Yeah.
And here's why. Yeah, financial crime, wire fraud, money laundering, etc. Because one thing that could happen is, for example, if he pays off someone Cassie alleged that he paid off someone to destroy the video of him attacking her in the hallway. Well, if that money, on your taxes, if you say that money was a tax deductible bad boy expense, we're now dealing with money wiring fraud, or money laundering fraud, or those things. So what happens is, especially federal law, they will look at your financial crimes and see how they could tie it into either a financial federal abuse or state abuse. And it's a lot easier to get someone on that, because who the hell wants to pay taxes?
Good point. Wait a second. So when it comes to all this, it's like, okay, he's running around here like he's Al Capone, untouchable, right?
Yeah.
Now it seems like they're gonna get, if the next step to get him locked up criminally, the only way they're gonna get him criminally is if it's gonna be something like a financial
I
thing,
won't say only.
white collar crime.
I won't say only, but I think that would be more likely, simply because of the way that statutes of limitations work for the majority of these very egregious acts that he's done with women. Generally, for felonies, that statute of limitations is 5 years. So even for Kim Porter's passing, that's gone. Now, obviously, there is no statute of limitations for murder, but we're not going to go there because I don't have any facts that support that.
But I do got a lot of questions on that one with Kim.
I
got a lot of questions. No.
I'm reading the comments as you do so.
No. I'm just saying I got a lot of questions revolving around her death and what happened and all that. But no one really knows the full truth. You see what I'm saying?
Me too. I think we all woke up and we're like, what?
Yeah, that was some wild-ish. I've heard stories from other people, other sources that that I can't name out loud, but they said some very interesting things that spark a lot of questions about the last moments that they interacted with her before her demise. But real quick, on the other side of things, we know that, moving into more about the civil lawsuit and all that, we see this civil lawsuit that has happened. You're saying the next step will probably be a financial white collar type of criminal activity that could be caught.
Yeah, at least an investigation into that, because the state wins. Ooh. Oh my gosh, I have to tell you my other fun fact. So I'm working on, definitely go to my Instagram. I'm working on adding more legal content because I love legal fun facts. So like this morning, I dropped a clip on how to find a lawyer really fast in a specialty area if you can't find one. One of my other fun facts is, baby, if you are hard up for money, if you want to make some money, drop a dime on somebody creating tax evasion. So for example, anyone in Diddy's camp, if they know that he's paid people off for certain things, chances are he didn't file that on his taxes, right? So they could literally drop a dime and be like, hey, over the course of these years, these are people that I know he's paid off for different things, and this is how much. Well, the law says if the government is then able to prosecute him for that and recovers money, you receive 30% of what they recover. So if they get millions for him, doing different crimes over the years or tax evasion, even if it's just tax evasion, whoever drops that dime gets 30% of whatever millions. And so that also applies to like other crimes. Usually this is used in the context of like someone who works for a doctor's office or a hospital where they're like committing a little bit of Medicare fraud, like my therapist who went to prison for a little while, bless his heart. I love him. Hey, Dr. Doug. But yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So someone using like if I was in Diddy's camp and I saw a lot of stuff, let's say he burned me, I would get out my little pen and my paper and I'd write down, these are all the people I've seen him pay off over the years, or different endeavors like that. Call the IRS and be like, hey y'all, y'all want to schedule a confidential call? You can actually call a lawyer. That practice area is called QUITAM, 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 and that's where you're basically a whistleblower.
Damn.
Somebody who's currently in Bad Boy can do that, and the beauty of it is you get a lawyer that represents you. That lawyers' fees get paid by the government, or not the government, but it gets paid through that settlement process. You get complete protection and they can't do anything against you. So that would also protect, because I feel like some people here are coming out because they're in fear of their lives and they're like, I need to speak out, such as Cassie's best friend, Tiffany, because they're like, I got to speak out because I don't want to end up burnt up like Kid Cudi's car.
Right.
Bless their hearts.
Well, guys, if you want the ultimate revenge, give the QTAM a call.
Yeah, QTAM. Find a QTAM lawyer
and drop a dime on your enemies.
Get your 30%, y'all. If you underpaid, you get your 30%.
Just so y'all know, revenge, man. A dish best served cold. Now, a question I have for you though, too. We got to talk about Russell Simmons. I know we're going off the beaten path, but they're kind of connected in a certain way. But we got to talk about this because really quickly, because I got to start wrapping up the show, unfortunately. But one of the things I do have to ask is one, because I know that we've noticed, and we've talked about this in a previous conversation, that the typical pattern that we see with these big moguls, these icons, is that it is all these civil lawsuits that come. Then eventually it is the criminal and all that, looking at like somebody like R. Kelly, right? Now, with Russell, though, now we already know he done kick rocks, and that's an obvious admission of guilt in my personal opinion. But why wasn't he attacked, or why wasn't he getting hit with multiple civil lawsuits when all this stuff, when all this information dropped on him?
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, wait, they had this time window when they could have sued Russell.
Yeah.
It appears no new lawsuits have been brought. Like, what's the deal? Is he telling the truth that these women are not being honest? And one thing that I've discovered is he is not telling the truth when he says none of these women have sued him. What happened was some of the women have, Jennifer or Janisic is the last name, Jen Janisic, something like that. She sued him and they settled. He didn't use the word settle. The case was ultimately dismissed because they settled. And so, and they settled at a time back when he was totally able to get confidentiality and all of those things. So he is over there saying, nobody sued me, when the truth of the matter is people have sued you. Or he's like, all those cases were dismissed against me. They were dismissed because you paid them money. But then the second thing that I was considering is, okay, in this window, how come none of his accusers have come after him? And aside from the woman named Drew, most of the other allegations that I read were things that did not take place in an employee-employer context. So,
Mhm.
for example, there was one woman, and I forget her name, Caucasian lady. She said that, she's a filmmaker, and he invited her to his home, and
Right.
she went to the home to talk about a documentary, and there he, SA'd her.
Mhm.
Well, that's not covered under anyone's insurance policy. Like, not employee, not any of that. You were at his house. Not even his homeowners they don't cover those deliberate acts, right? We talked about that. So my hypothesis or my guess would be that because there's no insurance to pay the claim, and secondly, we know he's broke, he's got no money. Even Kimora had to sue him, and Kimora hasn't even gotten paid. That it doesn't mean these women aren't telling the truth, but what it likely means is those women have been unable to secure an attorney because we take those on contingency. So if there's no contingent to pay us, we're not going to take the case.
Mhm.
No one's going to take a case against him these women, he selects them as their victims because they can't afford an hourly attorney, right?
Right.
So, a component of it is one, he settled a lot of the prior ones. And then secondly, those women are likely struggling to get representation. However, I want to make clear, the one woman, Drew Dixon, I believe is her last name.
Yeah.
She did not sue him, but did sue LA Reid. I'm very curious about that.
Yeah.
Because I believe not only did she sue LA Reid, but I think Wigdor, the same that's representing Cassie, is representing her. That makes me think that once again, it is likely related to recovery and whether there is for example, Wigdor may have found that at the time her offense with Russell Simmons happened, there is no coverage. That might have been why they're like, we're not going to do it. Or it could have been that they said, we don't believe you with respect to this. Or I won't say we won't believe you. I said that they may say, you don't have the factual support that we would need with or without insurance. With or without insurance, you lack the factual support where we would feel comfortable getting behind you. Because I don't think it's just a money thing. The second
Mm.
element is that attorneys like us, our brand is everything. And we not coming in there with no jackleg girl who just wants to get paid. Our goal is to create long-lasting justice that's going to last after our years. And so
Absolutely.
if we feel like you and your set of facts and these things aren't going to help us with that goal, especially because we got to front all the cost of that litigation until it's over. And that could be years. I have a case that was 5 years before I got my millions.
Mm.
Um, yeah. And we carry all of that, and we carry that. For me, it's emotional. If you saw me, I was on a reality show, Ready to Love. I get emotional. I don't get emotional in the courtroom, but behind scenes, I cuss, I cry, I knock over pens and paper. Like, my clients become my friends and my family, and I take on their burdens.
It
So it's a
becomes a
lot.
full on, yeah, it's a passion. It
Yeah,
becomes
it's a passion.
you become emotionally involved,
Yeah.
you're like what's that movie? You're like
Aaron Brockovich
yeah, I
and
was gonna say you're like the Matthew McConaughey in a Time to Kill. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're passionately like, fighting for the right for your client and all that. So I feel you on that 100%. Speaking of
yes.
that, though, when it comes to clients wanting to be anonymous, like the 11th grader, okay, or when she was 17 at that time, when they GR'd her, his legal team is trying to get her to expose herself, trying to get her to reveal her identity. Now, I'm wondering, on a legal side of things, why would Diddy or Diddy's team want to put her out, want to put her identity out there to the public?
Got you. And I'm so glad that you asked me about this. As an attorney, as a plaintiff's attorney, I am a huge advocate of women victims doing just that. In fact, I've had situations where clients where I was like, I patently disagree with you coming out with your identity. Because like I said, I love my clients. I want them to win. I want them to have mental health. I want them to have emotional health. Now here, Diddy, and I want to be clear. I've read some versions that say Diddy is, pressuring her. They're trying to force her to come out. That's technically not true. What it is this. Under the law, the default is plaintiffs must name themselves and defendants must be named. However, if however, if a plaintiff wants to remain anonymous, what happens is they can go to the defendant and say, hey, are you cool with me staying anonymous? That defendant has every right to say, no, thank you. In the same way that, like, if you're being questioned by the cops, you have a right to ask for a lawyer and it's not supposed to be held against you. You have the right in here to say, no, I think we should both be named. So that's what happened here. So I want to be clear. His attorneys have not been like harassing her or done any of that. What simply happened is her lawyer picked up the phone and say, hey, do you object to us remaining anonymous? And his lawyer said, yes, we object. That was it. Because there's a time frame where you have to file a motion to say, hey, Your Honor, let us stay anonymous if the other side doesn't agree. So that's just what happened. So they've now filed a motion, which they're required to do. Defendants are not required. And the reason being is it's so much harder to defend yourself against an anonymous person, both in real life and in on the internet and in social opinion. And right now, what Diddy is doing is he's fighting for his brand. He's fighting for his social media life. You know, he's fighting for that. And with her remaining like, if she were to not be anonymous, oh baby, we'd find out if she made a B in the 3rd grade. We find out if a breast stank. He would be able to find out everything, because once it's revealed, everybody who's ever known her is going to come out and say, I used to go to church with her. I. And it appears that this is a regular girl. She is likely, you know, working as a manager at Ross Dress for Less, doing something over in Detroit, minding her gosh darn business, not bothering anybody. Because when you read the petition, what you saw is she didn't just see that Cassie filed and settled real quick and said, oh, me too. No, she still sat there minding her business, running people up at Ross Dress for Less. Okay. Then she saw the second girl filed her suit. And then she said, she still didn't immediately say, me too, I'm going to leave this register. After that, she thought about it. And then she called the lawyers and said, well, I don't know, but this is what happened to me. That says to me, this is a person who's simply protecting her privacy. But on Diddy's side, if I represented Diddy, I said, let's find out who she is, because that's going to make it easier. We're going to have anybody poor in her life is going to ring my phone. They're going to call it my phone and tell me this, that, or third. Why? Because they're thinking, well, maybe Diddy can run me some money to say what needs to be said to let this go. And because we saw this happen with R. Kelly, with his first lawsuit, when the victim was supposed to come to court and miraculously wasn't even in the United States of gosh darn America. Yep. So we know he has the ability to make witnesses and facts disappear. And it's way harder to do that when you're opposed to a Jane Doe. But I also want to be clear, his staff and his team will know who she is. They get to know the person's true identity. It's just us nosy fozies who don't.
Right. The public, we won't know, but the lawyers and his team will know. But he can't go out. But the thing is he can't go out and put her on blast. Correct?
At all.
Okay.
No, and so he won't be able to do like how Tory Lanez in his lawsuit was able to feed things to bloggers and then get bloggers to kind of share the narrative that he wanted to share. See, Diddy's got a whole, obviously Revolt wouldn't do that. That'd be too obvious. But there's a plethora of bloggers where for the right amount would share whatever needed to be shared. Okay.
No, I see. I
believe my personal thought.
No, and that's the part that's so crazy for this whole thing too, is that money, especially when you have that kind of money, you can get away with a lot of things. You can get a lot of help if you know where to throw that money, in what direction to throw that money to. You know what I mean? I got a couple member chats that I want to pull up here really quick. Dory McNulty, thank you so much for being a member for the past 31 months. That's a long time. Thank you. Okay, happy to spend my time with you, Pascal, my fellow Pascalian family. Help you all who celebrate have a happy holiday season. Thank you so very much. We got S Dubs for member for 10 months. Thank you so much. Again, you guys can join and become part of the family, become a member right now. Okay, I got a big holiday special coming up here very, very soon. So your support and all that, you get to see a little bit of behind the scenes very, very soon. So go as a member. So go and join the membership. That would be greatly appreciated. Trying to spread some holiday cheer. Okay, we've been talking way too much about this gloom, doom type stuff all day long. We got to smile. So be sure to be sure to become a member so you know some insider stuff. Okay, S-Dubs, thank you so much. Thank you, Pascal. And Simone is awesome. Yeah, she cool. She all right. I'm just playing. You're fantastic. I appreciate you coming on. Real
and
talk.
I'd love to come back any time. I live for this breakdown. Professor Redwine in the building.
Yes. Class of red wine. I'm calling it that from now on. Anytime you come on, it's going to be Class of Red Wine. Black Goliath, thank you so much for the 5. Excellent show. Damn right. What else is? I do nothing but excellent all day long. What did you expect, Mang? But thank you so much, Black. I really do appreciate it. Okay. But Simone, Red Wine, I do appreciate you coming on and chopping it up with us about all this. And I mean, final thoughts on everything. Diddy screwed. That's basically as layman terms as we can get it. He is in some serious trouble. One thing, though, aside from white collar crimes, do we see him catching any criminal crimes, or do we see him going into the inside of a prison cell anytime soon for the acts of violence that he's put on other people?
Okay, so if there was more time, if so much time had not elapsed the Kid Cudi bombing incident, which was like 2011, 2013, I think we could get him on that one. But it's just too much time. Like I said, for most felonies, statute of limitation is 5 years. So if there's something he's done in this last 5 years, I think what's happening now is people now feel confident enough to be believed and to speak out. So there's a chance, but I really think the only way for something criminal and violent, probably the only statute of limitations left would be because that's the only one that has no statute of limitations.
Okay. We got I think it's Sloan Bella, I think her name is.
I love that name. Hey,
the clairvoyant, right? Who's been talking, saying that she's speaking from beyond the grave. Kim Porter, keep talking, keep squawking. We want to hear more. Okay,
I want to go on her show. I don't want to, but I can't cheat on my black psychic. Y'all, Mystic Sister is my black psychic. Go to my page. I talk about her all the time. She's amazing.
Oh, okay. Well, we're all gonna have to go check her out. But Simone, thank you so much for coming on. Can you let everybody know where they can find you and all that good stuff? And of course, don't forget, subscribe to her YouTube channel. I'm gonna say it first because it's fun to say. Girl, is that legal? Exactly. Tell them about all your stuff.
Yes. So Girl, Is That Legal is my YouTube channel. Also my TikTok, please help me. I need to grow it. If I have more followers, I'm going to post more stuff. My TikTok is That Legal? And then my Instagram is Attorney Simone Redwine, Simone with a Y. And thank you so much for having me.
Of course. It's always a blessing to have talented, intelligent individuals on the show that know exactly what the hell they're talking about, especially in the world of legal stuff, because that's, we talk a lot of stuff, okay? And a lot of it is like, I'm literally asking, is that legal? You know what I mean? Or can they catch a case for this? You know what I'm saying? Can they catch a charge? So we would love to have you back on, or why am I saying we? I would love to have you back. I don't know why I just said we, okay? Well, we as the family, okay? But we'd love to have you. And so we will talk to you very soon. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Thank you. You take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Super fun. Thank you.
So guys, all right. That is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. Really does mean a lot. Hopefully, we got some questions answered for you guys. Okay? Hopefully, we got some answers. Some questions answered. That's what I'm saying for you guys. All right? If you appreciated the conversation, hopefully we got more coming up. Okay? More conversations and all that stuff with Simone and many other people. Okay? So if you are the first time viewer of this show, okay, please be sure to do all the reaction stuff. Hit that like button down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, hit that reaction button, okay? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that follow button if you're watching on Facebook, okay? Follow me on TikTok too, in my Instagram. All my social medias are The Pascal Show, one word. It's very simple. So you appreciate this, or you just want to relive some other things, I put up clips on my secondary channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Okay, so there'll be clips from this being put up on there and all the other social medias here in a little bit. Okay, so if you appreciate the stuff that I'm bringing to you guys, the conversations that we need, by all means, be sure to subscribe, follow, like, etc. You know the deal. Okay, and of course, if you like that holiday cheer, you like holiday music, and you want something different instead of All I Want for Christmas Is You, which is still a banger, okay? Still bops. But I do have a brand new track, Christmas song called I Can't Wait for Christmas. Go check it out. I got it all on iTunes, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, you name it, all the streaming sites. Go check it out. Hopefully it'll make you smile. Anyway, guys, it is time to get going. I'll let you know if anything else is popping off. When it does, I'll let you know. Okay? I appreciate all y'all for being here. Have a great one. Stay blessed out there. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. See you guys soon. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.